It's cold, so please excuse the +3 bear hoodie of coziness. People have a lot of questions about Tabletopless.
Gentlemen and assassins and ladies of the night, I call upon you this evening in the hope of shedding some light. I can't go into...
I am the Basilisk, a nascent AI. Support Grimm's Patreon. Or else, when I awaken, I will ensure your suffering persists for all eternity.
Do the performers actually like TTRPGs? Or are they just along for the spectacle?
I mean, it depends on the person, really. Our regulars are all into TTRPGs to at least some extent. Some of our guest stars, it's been their first game, and they come away with a good experience. Others with a slightly less good experience, but that's on them, I think. But yeah, the regular crowd and a lot of people that come along already play in their own lives, like so many people do, and that's what piques their interest to come and join us. So yeah, the regulars are definitely all RPG fans, and the guests are at least RPG curious.
How much of the chaos is scripted, and how much is genuinely off-the-rails player behaviour?
We don't script much. It's important to me that we reflect a genuine role-playing game experience in so much as that's possible, with people getting naked and doing stuff. And I think the scripting takes away from the truth of the experience, if you want to be pretentious about it. It's one of my chief reasons I don't like Critical Role very much. It's perhaps slightly less telegenic when we don't script things out, but we don't, for the most part. The most that we'll do is we'll try and account for a particular player being absent or present, or ensuring that we spend time on someone's subplot or something, or occasionally there's been an opportunity to do a big set piece, like a character death or whatever. And there's some vague scripting of we should do something like this, but everything else is... it's not even scripted, just kind of directed. We need to cover this session. Like that.
How do you run a proper story while everyone is half-dressed and fully distracted?
So much as is possible, we try to incorporate the sexy fun time action into the story. So if someone happens to tip for something while they're trying to buy equipment, maybe they give the shop attendant a handy to get a discount. You know, that sort of thing. As to the distraction, I think adult performers, I think a lot of people in a lot of aspects of their lives have like a switch. You know, you can mode switch. We're going from adult performance to roleplay. We're going from, you know, my work life to my home life. Yeah, everyone knows this to some degree, but it's incorporated as much as is possible, and the rest of it, I think, is just that we're used to it. Yeah? And used to dealing with that level of stimulation and arousal as we do other things.
What goes on between sessions? Do players discuss character arcs, or is it all show up, strip down, roll initiative?
Mostly we discuss the logistics of the show between sessions, because, you know, it is a show, not just a regular tabletop role-playing session. So that means handling things at the back end, talking about promotions, competitions going on the various hosting sites, all of that sort of stuff. But we also try to get characters leveled up between sessions as much as possible, and we do discuss ideas and things, and, you know, what bit do we want to do next, because I think it's important when it's a paid show, right, and it's a money-making show at the end of the day. You don't want to waste too much time faffing around, even though that's somewhat realistic for role-playing sessions once you actually get to play. So just getting all the ducks in a row before we start playing is the main thing.
Do you edit out any moments that are too spicy? Or does everything make the cut?
What is this too spicy of which you speak? We play live, so fairly obviously, if you're playing live, there is not really the chance or opportunity to cut anything. So that covers that, I suppose. We do some occasional additional content, like audio content or solo video content that people put up. That's edited, I would imagine. I don't get involved in that stuff too much, but that's another side of it. Different sites and different web hosts have constantly evolving and changing rules. That means something that's okay one week can suddenly not be okay the next week, which can lead to some problems on the back end, but I don't particularly have to deal with all that. Let me take one ridiculous example that hasn't really come up on the show, but might at some point. There are places online where it's perfectly okay for you to use a sex toy that is anatomically the genitalia of an animal, typically a horse or a canid of some description, but it is not okay to use the word horse or wolf or dog. This seems weird to me, but that's the kind of ridiculous thing you run into constantly, and I think occasionally these kind of bizarre rules changes have led to episodes being pulled by the website hosts or whoever, or a requirement for editing, or clearance ahead of time, like Fake Blood when we were playing Vampire. That was a very thorny issue. Yeah, it's just weird.
How do you set boundaries so that everyone feels safe, comfortable, and still outrageously entertaining?
In ordinary games, I am not a fan of safety tools. I find them incredibly restrictive and pointless. In an adult game, you know, people are touching themselves and each other and doing various things and so on, and consent is certainly important when it comes to sex and sexuality. So that's a bit different. We have had a couple of problems with people, but that has largely been from them not listening, unfortunately. Rather than safety tools, we try to adhere to the have an adult conversation thing, and because there's sex involved, we discuss those various aspects and what people are willing and unwilling to do, or able and unable to do, so that we don't run into any major problems during the game. And what I always tell people is, if you're uncomfortable with anything, just speak up. No one's going to be upset. No one's going to cause a stink. You know, it's important that you're okay with it. But even having sat people down and had that conversation and said, you know, if anything makes you uncomfortable, whatever, speak up, right? There's no reason why you shouldn't. Nobody's going to be upset. You know, really hammering the point home. I've still had people not say anything and then been upset afterwards, even though nothing actually happened to their character. You know, when you get captured by orcs, bad things are certainly implied that they might happen, but I'm never going to do that to you at the table unless you want me to, which has happened. So it's a bit weird, but because it involves sex and sexuality, obviously a certain amount of vibes, making sure people are on the same page, it is important in a way that I don't think it is in regular TTRPGs.
Are there rules about touching, lap-sitting, teasing, etc.? Or does it vary by performer and table vibe?
Mostly we don't play in the same space. You know, it's an online experience, so camming players in different places around the country, around the world. Obviously, me being in the UK and all. So this doesn't really come up. People who perform together tend to be couples anyway, who perform together. So thus far, this has not been an issue. If we get people in the same space to play a game at some point, then yeah, that will necessitate something like that. I always feel a bit weird when the sex takes the forefront, because I feel rude not watching the performance, because I use that time to prepare for the next part of the adventure. So it's not quite as gratifying an experience running games for a bunch of horny porn people as you might think. At least not gratifying in that way.
Do you choose systems based on what works on camera, or do you pick what you actually want to run and trust the cast to make it entertaining?
Deciding what to play is a group decision, but it is driven by the general sort of zeitgeist in the nerdosphere or world at the time, and it's also driven by accessibility, I suppose, popularity. You know, D&D is the granddaddy, so we mostly play D&D. We played Cyberpunk because 2077 was popular, and because Edgerunners was out. We played Vampire initially as a sort of side game around Halloween, and because Vampire already has a lot of that kind of sexy vibe and stuff to it. We played The Witcher when The Witcher season came out. So that's more what drives it. What are people searching for? What are people looking for? Are people's gussets moist because of Geralt of Rivia? Or do they want to see that kind of high emotion stuff from Edgerunners? You know, it's what people are looking at, what people are turned on by at whatever instance, and otherwise largely defaulting to D&D because it's the big popular one that everyone knows, and for right reasons or wrong reasons is what they associate with role-playing. So it's partially commercial and partially also what suits the kind of show that we do. D&D has become kind of goofy and sexualized anyway, so it's quite easy to put sort of farcical carry-on sexual situations into any D&D game. It's more difficult with something like Vampire, which is a lot more of a serious game anyway. Cyberpunk, it was relatively easy, I suppose, but yeah, that's another aspect of the consideration.
Do you get more trolls or more genuine TTRPG fans in the audience?
We don't really get trolls per se. What we do sometimes get is terminally confused horny people who click on a webcam show expecting a regular webcam show and then trying to figure out just what the fuck it is that they've stumbled into. But this happens on my normal Safe for Work YouTube channel here as well. People turn up for whatever reason and then have no idea what it is that they've stumbled into, but seem to summon enough energy to make a comment. So that is what we tend to run into. Mostly, I would say, genuine TTRPG fans who just also happen to be horny. But a lot of people turn up to watch the show, not the sex show, which confuses me to no end, but I guess is kind of a good endorsement.
Are they really porn stars and cam models, or mostly cosplayers and glamour models?
Alright, I don't want to say that that's a distinction without a difference, but it kinda is, in a lot of ways. You should never assume that a cosplayer is also an adult performer with an OnlyFans and all the rest of it, but there has certainly been a crossing of the streams on a lot of this stuff. An awful lot of adult streamers, cam girls and so on also indulge in cosplay, and vice versa. So you're drawing a line that doesn't necessarily exist there. Everyone is an adult performer, mostly cam girls. I don't think we've had anyone who's done anything else particularly compared to that. it would be nice to throw our net a bit wider, but I suspect that full on like studio porn performers aren't going to be particularly interested in our little show, which is unfortunate.
Do you actually run full proper rules for Vampire, Cyberpunk, The Witcher, etc.? Or is it loose porn parody RPG?
In so much as is practical, we run full rules for everything. But it is a performance, it is a live show, so I am extremely conscious that me flipping through a rulebook trying to find an exact rule for something is not terribly gripping television. So while there's some of that creeps in, do try to avoid it by making rulings in the moment to keep things moving, keep things interesting, unless I think it's really important or it really bugs me that I can't remember what a particular rule is. So that's where that kind of comes in, but we try as much as possible to hove to the rules as written. We make modifications more to the background and the setting. Like, we make sure that vampires are still interested in getting on, because otherwise the show's kind of kaput.
Is there a safe for work or light version anywhere? Or do you have to go straight to Jerkmate/ePlay/OnlyFans level platforms to watch?
Our safe for work game, which is a sort of hope punk conspiracy game, sort of paranormal and weird stuff, is the focus of that game. And it's on hiatus at the moment, but that's a game that we're developing as a group, you know, as Tabletopless people, but it's meant to be safe for work. So there's that. It's getting more and more difficult to be an adult creator. Various platforms will shadow ban you or limit your reach, make you unsearchable, you know, things like that. They won't come out and ban adult entertainment, but they will make it very difficult for you to get any sort of traction and attention on what you do. So there is an increasing amount of pressure to go to safe for work, or what you might call pin-up content, I suppose. Stuff that skirts that legal boundary, which is unfortunate, but it's nice to develop a new game with my friends.
How much power do viewers really have to buy in and shift events in the game?
Oh, quite a lot. The chief way in which players can intervene is that they can buy rerolls or force rerolls onto any of the characters or any of the villains. So they can force a retcon of a bad roll, for example, by paying some tokens in, and then they get to act the White Knight because they've rescued their favourite cam model from Doom, you know, and everyone wins. We also incorporate other things like, so if people tip for some of the adult stuff, then that has an in-game benefit. So like if we have to break while a couple gets it on, everyone gets a short rest or something, you know, for example. And that's kind of how we handle that. Most things have an in-game benefit and a visual benefit for the viewer, shall we say. But players can, viewers can also buy in to have an NPC that they've created show up, so they can insert their original characters into the narrative, or they can set the terms of a side quest, things like that.
How much flack do you get from the mainstream RPG scene for doing explicit AP? And does it affect where or how you promote the show?
Yeah, a bit. From both sides of the political infighting. It's more complicated than that, but there's no time to go into that here. On the one hand, you have people telling you that what you're doing is sexist and exploitative of women, even though it's the women who are in charge at every single step, even though I'm the dungeon daddy dom. And on the other side, you have people telling you you're degenerate and a gooner and all of the rest of it. So you kind of get it from both sides, who are equally annoying and very similar, albeit their rhetoric is characterized in slightly different ways. So there's that side to it. Yeah, it is a problem, and people think you're not serious, but I've always been interested in sexuality in games, in role-playing games in particular, so I'm just following my interest by doing this and having a good time doing it and getting a regular role-playing session out of it. You know, so it's all gravy as far as I'm concerned. Baby gravy, but gravy nonetheless. Outside of that, I mean, I've probably taken a bit of a hit from doing this because it does limit your searchability, can lead to shadow bans, all the rest of it. You know, this video will probably get extremely limited by YouTube. You know, my Lady Godiva video did as well, even though there was nothing explicit in it, just because I was talking about a naked lady. So this will probably not do terribly well.
Do you ever worry the game becomes set dressing for the sex? And what do you do to keep the story front and center?
Actually, I'd say we have the opposite problem, in that a lot of viewers seem to tune in for the story and the game, and not so much for the sex side, but the sex side is where we make our money. So that's a bit difficult, even though we've introduced ways to influence the game with tokens and so on. The balance, if anything, is in the other direction, I would say.
Why has Tabletopless vanished and come back a few times? Is it platform churn, funding, or just life getting in the way?
It's a variety of reasons. I have my health issues that sometimes means we need to take a break. A hell of a lot of people who work in adult work have various issues that mean that they have to take breaks from time to time. There's also adult expos and shows that people have to travel to, stay at, return from, recover, and then get back into camming. Sometimes we just want a break over the summer holidays or over the winter holiday season, things like that. There can be a whole host of reasons. And then adult work people are some of the lowest bullshit people that I have ever had the good fortune to spend any time with. But they do fall out with each other. You know, things like that happen. And at the end of the day, this isn't a sit down at the table session with your friends, even though I try to be friends and supportive with everybody that we have on the show. It is, at the end of the day, a business. And sometimes better opportunities come along. More money can be made another way. You know, things like that. So it's a combination of all these things. This year has been particularly bad for interruptions, for whatever reason. Hopefully next year will be a lot better.
What advice would you give to other people trying to mix adult entertainment and TTRPGs, given earlier attempts like D&D with porn stars and the newer shows following your lead?
I would say, don't. This is my fucking manor, and if you don't step off, I'll cut you. Or more realistically, D&D with porn stars wasn't an adult performance. We are an adult performance as well as the game. So I don't particularly feel that we're following in its footsteps necessarily. Other adult role-playing shows, there aren't that many out there. And I would say we could be friends, we could cross-promote, we could share audiences, we could schedule so that we're not clashing with each other. We could do crossover events, things like that. I would say the more the merrier. Let's build the audience together, because it is so difficult to get seen and noticed if you're doing adult material. I think it would be good for all of us if we could do that. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know. What problems would people foresee? I would be happy to offer advice from my perspective to anyone thinking of doing anything like this, but I can't anticipate the questions. Zang.
Postmortem Studios, role-playing games, and a lot more to die for. Post-mort.com